Decluttering isn't just about organizing your space. It's about confronting your past, your memories, and even your future. No one warns you how deeply emotional this process can be. Have you ever picked up an old item and felt overwhelmed with guilt or nostalgia, wondering if you could let it go? You're not alone. For many seniors, decluttering brings unexpected challenges that go far beyond what anyone talks about. Meet Ellen, a 72-year-old who had spent 4 decades in the same home. After retiring, she decided it was time to declutter and simplify her life. At first, she thought it would be a straightforward task, organizing closets, clearing out old furniture, and making space for a more peaceful environment. But what Ellen didn't expect was how deeply personal and emotionally complicated the process would become. She found herself sitting in her attic, surrounded by boxes of her children's school projects, her late husband's belongings, and items she hadn't touched in years but couldn't quite bring herself to part with. Every item seemed to whisper a story, and letting go of anything felt like letting go of a piece of herself. Like Ellen, you might think decluttering is just about creating more room or tidying up, but in reality, it's about confronting memories, emotions, and the life you've built over decades. For many seniors, it's not just about clearing physical clutter. It's about making peace with your past and creating a lighter, more intentional future. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by the thought of decluttering or unsure of where to even begin, you're not alone. In this video, we'll uncover 5 harsh truths about decluttering that no one talks about, but you need to hear. Before we dive in, if you're finding this helpful, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more practical advice to help you thrive after 60. Your journey to a simpler, happier life starts here. Harsh truth number 1. It's harder than you think. Decluttering isn't just a physical task. It's an emotional journey that can feel far more challenging than expected. Every item in your home tells a story. Some bring joy while others may stir up guilt, regret, or longing. Deciding which ones to keep can feel like deciding which parts of your life are worth holding on to. It's not just about space. It's about memory, connections, and the legacy you've built over time. Take Ellen, for example. While sorting through her belongings, she came across her late husband's old watch. It was tucked away in a drawer, forgotten for years, yet it instantly brought back vivid memories of the life they'd shared. She held it in her hands for hours, torn between 2 powerful feelings. On one hand, the watch had deep sentimental value. It reminded her of their anniversary dinner, vacations, and countless moments together. On the other hand, she couldn't deny that it had been sitting unused for decades, collecting dust. Letting go of something like that feels like losing a piece of someone you love. But keeping everything can weigh you down, both physically and emotionally. Ellen realized that while the watch held memories, it wasn't the only way to honor her husband's life. She decided to take a picture of it and share the story behind it with her grandchildren, creating a new way to cherish the memory while letting go of the object itself. This is the reality many people face when decluttering, especially seniors. Every item you touch comes with a decision. Do I need this in my life now, or am I holding on to it because of what it represents? That decision can feel overwhelming, even paralyzing at times. If you've ever kept something because it reminded you of someone special, you're not alone. Many people struggle with this exact feeling, and it's okay to feel conflicted. What's important is recognizing that memories don't live in objects. They live in your heart and mind. You can honor those memories without keeping every item tied to them. Have you experienced this yourself? Have you held on to something because it connected you to a loved one or a moment in your life? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience might resonate with someone else. Who's going through the same thing? Decluttering is harder than anyone tells you, and it's okay to take your time with it. But by learning to let go in small, meaningful ways, you can begin to free yourself from the weight of the past and create a home and a life that feels lighter, more open, and ready for the future. Stay with us, because the next harsh truth might surprise you even more. Harsh truth number 2. Your family won't value what you do. One of the most difficult realizations about decluttering is this: what's precious to you may not hold the same meaning for your children or grandchildren. It's a harsh truth that often catches people off guard. The items you've lovingly preserved for decades, family photos, heirlooms, or keepsakes, might not resonate with the next generation in the way you imagined. Ellen experienced this firsthand. She had spent weeks carefully organizing boxes of old family photos, convinced that her children would be delighted to take them home and carry on the legacy of those memories. When her kids came to visit, she excitedly pulled out the boxes and began sharing stories behind the pictures. To her surprise, they weren't as emotionally attached as she had hoped. They appreciated the effort, but didn't see the same value in keeping physical copies of those memories. For Ellen, those photos represented a lifetime of moments, family vacations, birthdays, milestones, and even the quiet, everyday joys of raising her children. But for her kids, who had grown up in a digital age, the idea of storing physical albums felt more like a burden than a blessing. They politely declined, suggesting she digitize the photos instead. Ellen was heartbroken. This isn't about blame. It's about understanding generational differences. For many seniors, physical items like photos, antique furniture, or keepsakes symbolize love, family, and tradition. They're tangible reminders of a life well lived. But for younger generations, those connections are often stored differently, through digital archives, social media memories, or even just in their minds. It doesn't mean they don't care. It just means they value those memories in different ways. This disconnect can feel deeply personal, even painful. You might wonder, if they don't want these things, does that mean they don't value the memories attached to them? The answer is no. Your family values the stories and moments. They just don't necessarily need the physical objects to cherish them. The key is to approach this with understanding and flexibility. Instead of holding on to items in hopes that someone else will treasure them, consider creative ways to preserve the memories they represent. For example, Ellen decided to scan her favorite photos and create a digital slideshow that she shared with her children and grandchildren. They loved being able to see the pictures and hear the stories behind them, but without the pressure of storing boxes of albums. Decluttering often involves letting go of not just the items but also the expectations tied to them. It's not about forcing your family to see things the way you do. It's about finding ways to bridge the gap and honor the memories in ways that work for everyone. Have you ever held on to something because you thought your family would want it, only to find out they didn't? How did that make you feel, and what did you do about it? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your story might help others who are navigating the same emotional journey. Decluttering isn't just about clearing space. It's about navigating relationships, values, and generational shifts. Stay with us, because the next truth about decluttering may just redefine how you approach this process entirely. Harsh truth number 3. Guilt will be your biggest obstacle. Guilt can be one of the most challenging emotions to overcome when decluttering. It's not just about the stuff. It's about what that stuff represents. You might feel like you're betraying someone you love by letting go of their belongings, as if parting with those items means you're letting go of the person or the memories tied to them. But here's the harsh truth. Holding on to everything out of guilt isn't the solution. It's a burden that can weigh you down. Take Ellen, for example. Among the many items she struggled with was a cabinet full of dishes that had belonged to her late mother. These weren't just plates and bowls to Ellen. They represented family dinners, her mother's love for hosting, and countless memories around the table. Even though she hadn't used the dishes in years, She couldn't bring herself to part with them. Letting go felt like losing a piece of her mother and the cherished memories they'd shared. But over time, Ellen began to realize that keeping those dishes didn't bring her closer to her mother. In fact, they just sat there untouched, taking up space and gathering dust. Her mother's love and legacy weren't in the plates. They were in the memories, the lessons, and the stories that Ellen carried in her heart. If you're holding on to something out of guilt, it's important to ask yourself a simple but powerful question. Will keeping this item improve my daily life, or am I holding on because I feel obligated to? If it's the latter, then maybe it's time to rethink the way you honor that person or memory. One way to approach this is by finding creative ways to preserve the meaning without holding on to the physical object. For Ellen, that meant passing some of the dishes to family members who would actually use and appreciate them. She also chose her favorite plate from the set and displayed it in her kitchen as a reminder of her mother's love. The rest she donated to a local charity, knowing they would find new homes where they could be enjoyed. It's okay to feel conflicted. Guilt is a natural part of the process, but remind yourself that decluttering doesn't mean forgetting or dishonoring someone's memory. It's about making space for what truly matters in your life right now. Have you ever felt guilty about letting go of something that belonged to a loved one? How did you handle it? Share your experience in the comments below. Your story might resonate with someone who's struggling with the same feelings. Stay tuned, because the next truth might just challenge everything you thought you knew about decluttering. Harsh truth. Number 4. Decluttering can feel overwhelming. One of the most common obstacles in decluttering is the sheer overwhelm of it all. Looking around at a house full of things, decades of accumulated memories, belongings, and keepsakes, can make you feel stuck before you even start. The task seems so massive, so daunting, that you might be tempted to just throw up your hands and say, "I'll deal with it later." But deep down, you know that later rarely comes. Ellen felt this way too. Standing in her living room, surrounded by shelves of books, cabinets of keepsakes, and closets stuffed to the brim, she didn't even know where to begin. Every item seemed to demand her attention at once, leaving her paralyzed with indecision. Here's the truth. Decluttering doesn't have to happen all at once. Trying to tackle your entire home in a weekend is a recipe for burnout. Instead, think of it as a journey, not a sprint. The key is to start small, one drawer, one shelf, or one corner of a room at a time. Ellen began with a single junk drawer in her kitchen. It wasn't glamorous, but it was manageable. And by focusing on that one small task, she built the confidence and momentum to tackle bigger areas later on. Another strategy that worked for Ellen was setting a timer for 15 minutes a day. She'd pick one area, work on it for that short burst of time, and then stop. By breaking the task into bite-sized chunks, it felt far less overwhelming, and she could see steady progress over time. Here's another tip. Don't aim for perfection. Your goal isn't to create a perfectly curated minimalist home. It's to create a space that works for you. Keep your focus on what you're gaining, not just what you're letting go of. Decluttering isn't about loss. It's about freedom. The freedom to enjoy your space without the weight of unnecessary stuff. And remember, you don't have to do it alone. If you feel like the task is too much to handle, don't hesitate to ask for help. Whether it's from family, friends, or even a professional organizer. Having support can make all the difference. Ellen's daughter joined her for a weekend to tackle the attic. And not only did they make great progress, but they also shared laughs and reminisced over old memories together. So, what about you? What's the first thing you would declutter? A closet, a drawer, or maybe a room that's become a catch-all for everything? Let us know in the comments below. Your answer might inspire someone else to take that first step. Decluttering can feel overwhelming, but it doesn't have to stop you. Start small. Celebrate every bit of progress, and keep moving forward. Stay with us, because the next truth is one of the most surprising and empowering reasons to embrace decluttering. Don't miss it. Harsh truth number 5. You'll feel lighter, but it takes time. Decluttering is undeniably tough. It stirs up emotions, memories, and decisions you never expected to face. But here's the good news. Once you start letting go, you'll begin to feel lighter. Not just in your physical space, but in your heart and mind. It's a gradual process, but the sense of freedom and control you gain is worth every moment. Ellen's journey is proof of that. She tackled her home one room at a time, focusing on what truly mattered to her. In the end, she kept the items that brought her joy or served a purpose, like her late husband's favorite watch, which she now wears as a daily reminder of him. Everything else she donated or passed on to people who could use it. The transformation wasn't overnight. There were moments when she wanted to quit, times when guilt or doubt crept in. But with each space she cleared, she felt a growing sense of peace. Now, Ellen describes her home as a sanctuary. It's no longer cluttered with things she doesn't need, but filled only with items she loves and uses. And here's the most beautiful part. Decluttering wasn't just about her home. It was about reclaiming her life. Without the physical and emotional weight of all those unused belongings, Ellen feels more present and focused on the things that truly matter. Spending time with her grandkids, enjoying her hobbies, and creating new memories. Decluttering isn't just about your space. It's about making room for the life you want to live now. It's about letting go of what no longer serves you so you can focus on what does. So take it one step at a time, trust the process, and remember, it's not about perfection, it's about progress. And when you look around and see the transformation, you'll realize it was worth every effort. Have you experienced this feeling of lightness from decluttering? Share your story in the comments. Your journey could inspire someone else to take the first step toward creating their own peaceful sanctuary. Decluttering is no small feat. It's a journey filled with challenges and emotions. We've uncovered some harsh truths. It's harder than you think. Your family may not value what you do. Guilt can hold you back. The process can feel overwhelming, and it takes time. But despite the struggles, it's also freeing, empowering, and absolutely worth it. Just like Ellen, you'll discover that letting go isn't about losing. It's about gaining. Gaining clarity, peace, and a home that truly reflects the life you want to live now. Ellen's transformation wasn't just in her space, it was in her heart and her outlook on life. So, as you take your own steps toward decluttering, remember this. Your memories don't live in the things you own. They live in your heart, where they'll always stay with you. If this message resonated with you, be sure to like this video and share it with someone who might need this reminder today. And don't forget to subscribe for more life advice that helps you live your best life after 60.